Hey everybody, welcome back to the OneRC YouTube channel. Today we're gonna have a little running footage with the Arrma Infraction MEGA. Still got the factory installed 9-turn 570 motor, the brushed only speed control using the 7-cell stick pack that came with it. This is the first run on this truck. I've just ran it around like a lap to get the trim set, but I'm gonna see how it does both on road and off today if we have enough battery, and then I guess we'll pull the electronics and put in something a little more powerful and see if we can't ramp up the fun. Anyway, here's my thoughts, my initial thoughts at least, on this beginner level Arrma. I've watched a few reviews, notably the RC driver review at the skate park, and that looks like a really good place to run this truck. That smooth, polished concrete seems to suit these off-road tires really well. You can see there's just too much traction. I won't say there's too much traction. There's too much traction and too little power to really slide it around with any kind of regularity on textured asphalt. I appreciate that you can almost hear the tires over the motor. The motor with that built-in fan on the armature, it makes a little bit of noise. It's very reminiscent of the 12-turn Traxxas, or like the big 775 out of the Summit. I've got one of those in a Stampede, and the fan on that one, you can hear it coming from a mile away. Handling wise, it's left turns are really where this truck shines. You can definitely tell Horizon Hobby's influence in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. This truck turns left really well. As far as turning right, not so much. I am very surprised that Horizon hasn't come out with an officially licensed NASCAR truck body for this platform to commemorate their sponsorship of the number 3018. Admittedly, the Arrma paint scheme and the Horizon Hobby paint scheme, they're not exactly eye-catching. They're very subdued. If they would paint them like one of the RC trucks, that would have got a lot of eyes on the brand. I'm spending most of this run flat out, and you can see it's not exactly setting the world on fire. But that's coming from me. I've been in the hobby for close to 30 years, and I think I expected a little bit more. Right on the box it says 30 plus miles an hour, and this doesn't seem like it gets there. And two, I've spent quite a bit of time behind the trigger of a couple of fairly fast drag cars lately. So I'm used to that level of acceleration and top speed versus something out of the box for a hobbyist that's not exactly seasoned, as it were. I'm sure a kid would get a hold of this transmitter and be blown away with how fast this car is. So I'm not going to hold it against it too much there. I will say the servo is pretty slow to respond. You kind of have to back your corners up a few feet. It's kind of a balancing act trying to get it right. I'm trying to apex this wet spot, and it's really difficult to judge because sometimes you'll throw the truck in and it will hit it dead on, and other times it's like it's 5 or 10 feet late. But it could do with Could do with a faster servo and a person that has more than one eye and some depth perception. I really hate that too. I love this body, so hopefully we didn't hurt it too much. Again, balancing between the oversteer in left-hand corners and the understeer in right-hand corners. And again, too, this isn't, this was never meant to be an on-road track racing vehicle. This is meant to go out and have fun on unprepared surfaces like this. This is an extremely rough basketball court. Like this was laid probably 35 years ago. And this thing soaks it up like it's nothing. You haven't heard the chassis scrape once. So I understand what it's for. It's just Arrma's new slogan of Speed Bash, just, I feel like it's got the bash, like it seems put together, it's screwed together really well, for lack of a better word, but it's just not really got the speed. So future upgrades probably going to be a 3-cell capable motor, a faster servo, and a 2 to maybe 4S capable speed control. I'm looking probably put another Hobbywing 10 BL120, which is good for 2 or 3S. And I'm looking at either a 38 or a 4300 kV motor just to pep it up a little bit. But I'm definitely going to go 3S with this one. The 3S BLX versions of these same vehicles are extremely quick. So I think this will be a good candidate for a 3S system. But that's enough battery here on hard surfaces. Let's go over and try it out on some rougher surfaces. Okay, this isn't exactly an off-road RC track, and it's really not that off-road, but for an on-road specific car, this would be impassable. I mean, you got ruts and gravel and grass and God knows what else lingering out there. So this would be an extremely difficult place to try and run an on-road only car. So we'll see how the Infraction Mega does. I hate to beat on it for being slow and everything on-road. If you're looking for on-road speed, the Vendetta is the better option. But for an all-road car, I think the Infraction, not only does it look better, but I think the Infraction is more than capable of handling terrain like this. Now, as I say that, you can see the ride height's a little low. It does scrape the nose. And the battery's dead, but it is driving. Okay, looks like that may be it for the battery. It is able to drive across surfaces like this. Now, if I wanted to drive off-road with it anymore, I would need, yeah, it looks like we've hit low voltage there, which is interesting because it's a nickel metal battery. I'm not sure if it's set up for LiPo mode right out of the box. I'll need to do some digging. But if I wanted to run it on surfaces like this all the time, I would just raise the suspension up a little bit. It's got the tire, it's got proven differentials, it's got dirt guards, it's ready to go, but it's just set up to be a good on-road handling truck. And one definite thing that has to go is that nickel metal battery. Run times in this short of a amount of time are not really acceptable in 2022. And I know that I harp a lot about Horizon including a 7-cell hump pack with these vehicles. They could save the shipping weight and the short run times and a little bit of money in doing so. But I do understand out of the box, these are great for people that don't already have a battery and charger. I mean, I keep that in mind. I just wish they gave us the option. But that looks like the first run for the truck, for the Infraction Mega. Again, like I said, probably going to go brushless, go with a little bit better servo. Not a huge fan of the SLT3 transmitter. Like, it just feels cheap. The third channel button is in a good spot if you ever use it, but on a vehicle that doesn't use it, it's kind of in the way. It does stick out fairly far. You can see there, at least I hope so. I'm not sure where this camera's pointing. You can see how far that sticks out, and it does kind of get in the way sometimes. I noticed myself hitting it by accident, just pulling throttle. So that's one thing that I'm not really a big fan of. Two, it feels cheap. I mean, I get that it is cheap, but it feels cheap. And there's a difference between inexpensive and cheap. So I'm going to be replacing it with my standby transmitter, the RadioLink RC6GS V3, and probably go with the micro receiver. I only need 4 channels. If I want to add some lights or something to it, I don't need, you know, the 7 that it's capable of, but I do love the way that radio feels. So look for a future video with some upgrades thrown at this thing. Like I said, I'm gonna probably scrap the entire electronics package and go with something a little stronger. Not as happy with the performance on this as I was with our Senton 4x4 Mega. I love that truck, and I will say that, I'll preach that from the mountaintops. Performance wise, that truck is on a different level than this. That 9-turn, quote unquote 9-turn 570 motor just doesn't put out the oomph that I expected. When I first got in the hobby, if you said you had a 9-turn motor, you had a ballistically fast RC vehicle. I mean, that was pro level. The pros, some of the pros were running 9-turn motors at the time in off-road competition. Now a 9-turn motor, and we're disappointed with it out of the box. Either that motor's underrated, or we are really jaded by this point. So again, we thank you for watching. If you are subscribed, if you're not subscribed, if you are subscribed, please keep subscribing. It's free. We really thank you. We're going for 1,000. I really want one of those plaques for the wall, and just want to see the channel grow. Want to be able to help more people. So if you have any comments, please drop them below. Subscribe if you're not. Make sure to click that bell to be notified of any future videos. And again, thank you for watching. Have a great day.